And in lane 2, there is no lane 1, remember, the Tide with Nate Brown driving. In lane 3, the T+, Steve David from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. In lane 4, it'll be the popular Mark Evans driving the Miss X side. And on the outside, the pace boat will be the Krogers, driven by Jack Berry.
The boats come down for the green flag. Only 3 boats are going to take the start in Heat 1B. The X side has a problem. Mark Evans in the X side now getting the boat off the course to the inside. Mark Evans having some motor problems. We'll try to check out what happened. Meanwhile, the battle between the T+ and the Tide. Nate Brown in the Tide boat does like the inside on this course. He was very happy with his lane selection, and you can see why. He's taking full advantage of it.
Let's keep in mind, Dick, and once again tell our people watching today that lane 1 is left vacant, but only for the start. Once they get through the first turn, they can move over and take lane 1, and that is what Nate Brown here in the Tide has done.
Meanwhile, outside of him is the T+. Now, you see Steve David go very wide on that turn. He's trying to make it as casual a turn as he can, because the faster the boat's going, the more it tends to slide out, even though it has that big skid fin to hold it on the water. He lost a little bit of momentum on that turn, though. Tide was able to come out and gun it, accelerate it down that front straight, and he's now got the advantage by about a rooster tail. So Tide leading at a 137-mile-per-hour lap. Nate Brown very happy with his time, very happy with the run of the boat so far. If this boat takes the win with all the problems the crew has had in repairing the boat the last couple of races, they'll be glad to get it home in one piece with a victory.
I'll tell you what, Danny High, Tracy Bradbolt, Clay Fazell, Watkins, DeMarc, that whole gang has really done a job after that flip the last race by the Tide being upside down.
This is the Krogers boat. It is now riding in 3rd place. 2nd is the T+. And here's your leader, Nate Brown in the Tide. And again, we say the damage that was done on this boat, to see it riding as a whole boat, as a thrill not only for the fans here and the crew, but also for Nate Brown, who really felt bad. The worst feeling being the fact that they lost an engine, and he said earlier it was the best engine they had. So there's your leader, Nate Brown, followed by that boat, the T+. They'll take 2nd place going into the final lap. And this is the only chance that Steve David will have to catch him. But I have a feeling, Jim, that he's going to just settle for 2nd place. He just wants to get the points in his pocket at this point. They'll worry about refining the boat, making any changes to it, and then get back out and race a little harder later on.
So that our viewers know, you get 400 points for 1st, 300 points for 2nd, 225 for 3rd, 169 for 4th on down the line. Then the accumulation of preliminary heat points, only the top point getters get into the winner-take-all final. We just had a word from the Miss X side crew. They had a fuel control failure. That's why the boat is dead on the course.
Well, far from dead on the course is this boat, the Tide, driven by Nate Brown. He will take the checkered flag for his first win of the day, and that's got to make not only Nate Brown very happy, but the crew landside very happy. 2nd place will go to Steve David in the T+. Here is absolute disappointment. Mark Evans and the X side, they had some problems.
And no problems for the Tide with 400 points. T+ is 2nd for 300. The Krogers with Jack Berry finishes a respectable 3rd, while, as we said, X-Side did not finish. Now let's go to Steve Montgomery.
Nate, it looked like a little bit of a handful in the first turn. After that, no problem.
Yeah, it was no problem. Steve did a great job, left me lots of room in that first corner. Excuse me. It was, we had a wing adjustment from this morning. We used it with a different propeller. And woo, boy, the thing like the kite. Should have had a string on the bottom. Somebody could have hung on to it. But it was a lot of fun. The Tide team did a great job getting it together, and one down. But I'll tell you, this is a long race.
Good job, Nate.
Thanks a lot, guys.
A good start on the day for Nate Brown. We'll continue with Heat 2A coming up from Madison, Indiana, when we return with Speed World.
No lane 1. The Tide with Nate Brown. Miss Budweiser in lane 3 with Chip Hanauer. Powerball Miss Madison Mike Hansen is on the outside of the Bud. And on the far outside, the Krogers with Jack Berry. And the trailer boat is the X side with Mark Evans.
And you can see the trailer boat just coming under the bridge. It's about a 15-second difference as the green flag flies, and we're off in Heat 2A. Immediately, the Tide tries to set the pace. Nate Brown, he's the orange boat on the inside. Right next to him in lane number 3, because there is no lane number 1, that's the Miss Budweiser. As they come out of the turn, it looks like Miss Budweiser hopped again, this time inside. She may have clipped a little bit of the rooster tail from the tide, and that can be a dangerous situation. That rooster tail is equivalent to 7 tons of water flying off the back of the boat. What a great shot inside the Miss X side. Mark Evans, you can see the water spray coming up and the water passing there, but he's got problems, Jim.
He has now reported to the crew that once again he's having fuel problems, as we see the Miss Budweiser out of lane 2, coming around corner number 4 to complete lap number 1, trying to give a challenge to the Tide with Nate Brown.
Nate Brown is doing a masterful job matching up against the Miss Budweiser. He's got to know the Miss Budweiser's on his right hip. He's very attuned to where the boat is, but he's holding his lane beautifully, and he's also holding his speed. You can see the challenge as they come down to the end of the front straightaway, but the Tide is leading after lap number 2. Miss Budweiser trying to get him on the turn. If Nate Brown can hold his speed through the corners, then he's able to hold him off on the front straightaway. Let's see what happens on the back straightaway as they come out. Tide gets a little bit loose. That's just enough to give the Miss Budweiser a slight advantage.
Nate Brown controlled the corners in the first lap and a half, but it's the straightaway speed, the chute speed, if you will. Remember, this is a long, narrow course, and the Miss Budweiser seems to have it in the chutes over the rest of the field so far.
Miss Budweiser on the outside lane to the Tide. Now Chip Hanauer, who suffered that back injury in Detroit, returned to the boat last week, took a win in Evansville, Indiana. He says that he feels better when he's actually driving the boat. We theorize that the focus is so strong forward on the boat that he's not really paying attention to the back, but he's getting a great ride. I don't imagine the smooth water on the outside is hurting that ride at all. X-side, back up on it again. We could see him come up on plane as soon as that water quit breaking over the front of the boat. He was up on plane. Powerball Miss Madison now sitting in 3rd.
And look at the hometown boat. Everybody cheers when this boat, whoa, held on. Mike Hansen, you can just hear the crowd buzz when the hometown boat comes by in the front shootaway on the Indiana side. As we look on the Kentucky side, and coming around corner number 4 to complete his first lap is Miss X-side.
Well, we're glad to see some of the problems for Miss X-side perhaps pass into history for this race. It looks like he's got the boat operating the way he wants it now. He's down a lap or so on the field, but he is at least running, and that's going to make him feel better as well as the crew. Here's the Miss Budweiser. This is Chip Hanauer, who does a great job at driving. He knows this course very well. He feels very comfortable on the Ohio River. The checkered flag goes out. Heat 2A, the winner, Miss Budweiser, Chip Hanauer. A great job at driving. Here was another good job by Nate Brown. He takes 2nd place, but boy, I'll tell you what, he mounted a challenge on the first lap and a half. There's Powerball Miss Madison getting a standing ovation from the crowd for 3rd.
But I'll tell you what, the Tide showing very well, finishing 2nd behind the Bud as we look at the crowd. And here's the way they finish. Miss Budweiser, the Tide, Powerball Miss Madison, Kroger's, and the restarted X-side finished overall 5th.
Some good racing out there, but you'll remember in the first turn we had a little bit of a problem. The second corner, the Miss Budweiser in the first race jumped outside. This time it looked like the boat got a little bit airborne and jumped inside, and you can see the red boat goes into the rooster tail of the Tide, who's leading. Now he does come back out of it, and apparently, obviously with the win, the damage was minimal. But let's go down to the pits. Jim Hendricks has got the driver, Chip Hanauer.
Chip, did you kind of hook the boat in that first turn?
Yeah, I had a real tough time getting it through the first corner and just caught it just in the nick of time.
You gave a jump running a little when all of a sudden it seems like he crossed over through a rooster tail.
Well, yeah, you know, we know it's really rough down there, Jim, and but I didn't see him hook the boat, but he said he felt like it was ready to, so we'll make some corrections with it and just trying to keep him in his lane.
A lot more racing coming up from Madison in the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup race. We'll be back in a moment. In Indiana, the boats are heading out onto the course. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick and Steve Montgomery. We've got some interesting matchups coming up in heat number 2B. But you know, safety is something that is foremost in the minds of all these drivers and pit crews in unlimited racing. That's the subject of our Eagle Snacks Performance Corner.
Hi, I'm Chip Hanauer. You know, the most important part of an unlimited hydroplane to me as a driver is the safety equipment. Winning's important, but staying safe is obviously the most important. The biggest change that's happened in unlimited hydroplanes in probably the history of the sport has been this. This is called the canopy. It's off an F-16 fighter. It's made of plastic, actually called polycarbonate, and it's bulletproof, so to speak. It absorbs the impact of an accident where in the past the driver's body did. Obviously not a good thing. Now to stay in the boat, to take advantage of this canopy and the security, is a seatbelt. Much bigger, much stronger than your car seatbelt, and actually more of them. There's 6 belts that hold you in this boat. Now if you're upside down, you're strapped in and you're unconscious, you have to breathe. That's where this air mask comes in. We have about an hour's worth of air supply that comes through this mask attached to the helmet. Now I'm breathing this air the entire time I'm racing. I don't have to rely on a switch to turn on in case of an accident. Now, of course, you want to get out of the boat. You need access to the hatch underneath the boat in case the boat's upside down. The steering wheel comes off quite simply and easily, giving myself access to this escape hatch and this handle. I turn the handle, kick the door out, and I'm out. Or if I'm unconscious, the rescue crew has a handle on the outside to pull me out. Again, this is the most critical part of unlimited hydroplane racing, and it's changed the sport. It's changed my life on numerous occasions, as well as many other drivers. I wouldn't be competing today without all this equipment.
Nice report, Chip. Thank you for the information. Here's the lineup for Heat 2B. Pico's American Dream repaired and ready to go for Dave Billwalk. Smokin' Joe's Mark Tate, Steve David in T+, and Mitch Evans in the Spirit of Lake Chelan.
Dave Billwalk would like nothing better than to have a good run, and he leads the field as they come down to take the start in Heat 2B. The blue and white boat out in front, another boat owned by Fred Leland. He's got 2 of them in the races today. The Kroger's is the other one. That's not in this particular heat. American Dream has gone out in front. Dave Billwalk with a very good run. There you can see him off to the left-hand side of Steve David inside the T+. What a great shot that is. I am amazed at how the camera eye can pick up so much on the course, but it's a great shot. Gives you a great idea of what they're facing as they come down to the bridge.
And as we go down the Kentucky side, it's Pico's American Dream in lane number 1. On the outside is Steve David, now giving him a challenge in corner number 3.
It looks like Pico's American Dream lightened up a little bit as she came into the corner, but she grabbed onto the hook beautifully, and the skid fin held. She held her lane. Dave Billwalk has good control of the boat. Steve David again challenging on the outside as they come down the front straight. Steve David in the T+ had a little bit of a light ride the last time around. Bets are on. They probably adjusted the wing a little bit, maybe even tried a different prop, trying to get the water and the boat to match up.
143.5 on lap number 1 as they go down in that dangerous first turn for the second time. Our aerial shot shows how wide Steve David is taking the T+, but then he gets on it and has chute speed to catch up to the lead boat.
That's what's all so important. Back in 3rd place, it's the Smokin' Joe's Mark Tate. There's your leader once again. Now American Dream, the Pico American Dream, has seemed to set a good solid pace. He had trouble early on. Of course, he had that accident with the Miss Budweiser. That kind of knocked him out of his first competition of the day. He seems bent on making up for all of that by setting himself up with a good margin between 1st and 2nd place. Steve David was challenging out there. He's off the pace just a little bit. A good shot there gives you an idea between 1st and 2nd place. Pico's American Dream holding it in at a lap speed of 146 miles per hour.
That's his fastest lap of the day with 1 more lap to go as we look across at the Kentucky side. Our aerial shot shows how the Billwalk boat handles. Skips a little bit in there, but then maintains it by hanging it on the hook, which is the skid fin on the left side, and now goes down the back chute for the final time here in Heat 2B.
You can really see how that water has roughened up in the second corner of turn number 1. The boat actually had waves breaking over the front of it, and boy, that can really be upsetting to a driver because it throws the balance of the boat off. But look at his ride as he comes through the turn on the far side of the course to go under the bridge to take the checkered flag. Dave Billwalk holding beautifully. He pops a little bit out of the water, but it doesn't seem to disturb him at all. He simply brings it right back down in. No problem. Dave Billwalk, Pico's American Dream, the Fred Leland team. That's a great win for them, certainly after the disappointment in the first heat today. It should boost them up for the rest of the day of racing. They know now that they can do it. There's your 2nd place boat. That's the T+. 3rd place is the Smokin' Joe's with Mark Tate.
And the average winning speed, 143.1 for Pico's American Dream. You see the rest of the field, T+, Smokin' Joe's, and a distributor drive problem knocked out Lake Chelan. Let's go down to the winner's dock and check in with Steve Montgomery.
David, finally a heat where everything went right.
We got to go into a boat race for a change without somebody ending it. It was great. Pico's American Dream ran great. Fred Leland's team. turned the boat around even after all that damage, and a great boat. Good job. Thanks.
Well, we'll be back with some more great boating action in just a moment. Up to the Ohio River and unlimited hydroplane racing, the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup. We are getting ready for Heat 3A.
Smokin' Joe's on the inside. On his right will be the T+, followed by the Powerball Miss Madison. Kroger's and Lake Chelan as they come under the Madison-Milton Bridge and come down the Indiana side for the start.
Good matchup on the inside as the Smokin' Joe's is in lane number 2. On lane number 3, it's the T+. We'll see if they get the start as they come down. It looks good, and there they go. It's the start of the race, and on the inside, we'll see if Smokin' Joe's can hold off T+, who gets a little bit loose going down in there. T+, as we look down from the helicopter, is to the right of the lead boat. Smokin' Joe's holding on the inside lane. Look at these two boats battle it out. Let's see who's got the chute speed as they hit the back chute on the Kentucky side of the river. It is going to be Mark Tate in Smokin' Joe's to take the lead.
As we look at Mike Hansen in the third place Powerball Miss Madison, let's watch the leaders. Now, a rooster tail comes off the prop. When you can tell the boat's in the turn, watch the left side of the boat. Watch the second rooster tail come up. Then you know the skid fin is hooking in there and holding him in the turn. A beautiful sight as he comes around to complete lap number 1 at 144.539 miles per hour.
Good ride for Mark Tate. I don't know what they did to that boat, but they readjusted it, got the engine getting maximum power now. He's got to be happy with the ride of the boat also. He's holding it on the water. It's tiptoeing just as it should across the top. This boat's still a little bit on the light side, but Steve David's still very much in control of the T+, as you see, in second place, followed by the Powerball Miss Madison, Mike Hansen. And every time that boat even comes by, a huge cheer goes up from the crowd. It's kind of like a vocal wave, if you will, all around the course. 144 miles per hour for the Smokin' Joe's, as Jim told you. T+ holding right in there, just a matter of split seconds off the lead. One mistake by Mark Tate, and the T+ is going to be right up on him.
They must have adjusted that tail section. It's riding really good. And remember, in car racing, the car driver can adjust the horizontal stabilizer. Not in boat racing. They cannot do that during a race. They must have that adjusted on the beach as we look at Powerball Miss Madison in third place. The Krogers with Jack Berry is in fourth. The Sprint of Lake Chelan, Mitch Evans, currently riding in fifth.
And there's the toast going out to the Powerball Miss Madison. As I say, 13,000 owners of that boat. Everybody gets involved in the ownership of that boat in Madison, Indiana. They are very, very proud of Mike Hansen and the job that the crew does on that boat. So they give it a little extra boost, and as the checkered flag comes out, it will be the winner, Mark Tate, in Smokin' Joe's, winner of Heat 3A, followed across the line by the T+.
Here's the result. Smokin' Joe's wins at an average speed of 140.2, followed by T+, the Madison, Krogers, and Lake.
A little bit of a cool down. You can see the flag blowing to the right of your screen, and that indicates that there is a wind that is picked up here on the Ohio River in Madison, Indiana. That means that the unlimited hydroplanes are going to have a wind coming at them on their nose down the back chute.
And 4 boats will have to fight that. Pico's American Dream, Miss Budweiser, the Tide, and Miss Exide. 4 in the front line in a very tight turn as the start of 3B gets underway.
Miss Budweiser trying to jump right out on the start line, and so far Chip Hanauer has good run on that boat. Now we're going to watch them as they come out of corner number 2. Let's see if they hold on to it. This is where the wind will start picking up on them. Oh, you could see them pop out of the water there. That's an indication that the wind is up on the back stretch. Pico's American Dream, meanwhile, you know, Dave Bilwalk had a bad start on the day, but he then got a win in a later heat. He is now riding in second place. Looks like he's got a pretty good ride going. Look at the ride from inside the Miss Exide. Mark Evans, whoa, look at him hold on to that wheel as he battles all the elements going down the back chute. A lot of people forget that, you know, when you're driving on water, it's constantly changing. Every square foot is a different patch of water, and therefore they constantly have to be attuned to what's happening in front of the boat. In a car race, and this isn't a down car racing, it's a different type of racing, they have the asphalt. It stays relatively smooth throughout the entire race. But in this one, they've got to be ready. They've got to have their hands on the wheel. They've got to literally feel the boat like a glove, and this is a good indication. There goes a pass by the Tide. He has passed up Pico's American Dream. Now Pico's American Dream on the inside has decided, no, I don't think you're going to do that quite that fast. 2 rooster tails to the left of your screen. That's what Miss Exide sees as she comes into turn number 1.
And the fastest lap, as you can see, the speeds have decreased because of the wind. 139 for Miss Budweiser. This boat driven by Chip Hanauer.
Chip is having a good day out here. Again, we remind those who have just tuned in that Chip Hanauer suffered a rather serious back injury in Detroit before he even got to race the boat in competition. He was going out for the first race when the hatch blew off underneath, and he suffered a back hurt. But he's feeling good now, and this will make him feel even better as he crosses the line with the checkered flag flying for him. Second place will go to the Tide boat, who came up from further back in the field. Good ride by Nate Brown. Third will go off to Pico's American Dream, and Jim, the Miss Exide, winds out in 4th place, 169 points. They'll add all those points together to decide the finals later on today.
And a big happy birthday to this gentleman right here, Ed Cooper Sr., who's 75 years young today. He's been in 40 years of this business of racing, and he and his son own this boat, the Lake Chelan, driven by Mitch Evans, who came in second to his brother Mark Evans in the Miss Exide in the last chance heat, and they qualify for the finale. Pico's American Dream also withdrew from that heat. Kroger's did not start because of burned wiring in a brand new engine when they tried to start that boat. Here's the way the final field will set up for the winner-take-all finale.